Do you love what you do, or do you try to love what you do? Hello friends, I'm Brock and I'm searching for developer stories all over the world. Today's guest is Shedrack. His story has begun in college. Although he didn't know his future plans, the lessons he took got him to a field where he is software engineer, developer advocate, and writer of technical articles. I asked various questions to find out his journey. Let's listen his story from his words.
So it wasn't something that I actually wanted to do. It was just like by chance, right? So I really wanted to just learn something. Like when I got into college, it was just like me trying to like get something that I could learn. So it wasn't really something that I've always wanted to do for per se. It's just something that I happened to get interested in over my time in college. So yeah, that's basically how the entire story behind it.
And once you decided and learned something from the field, and how did you decide what to learn next? Like, what were the criteria you took into consideration?
Yeah, so I had this. So when I started out first, I was learning Python. There was this Udacity course on Intro to Programming that I was taking. I found on the internet. So, but currently I write JavaScript more. So it was a friend in school. So I think he was a year older than me in college. Yeah, it was a year older than me in college. So he saw me. I was like, do you know like how to write code? And I was like, I'm learning Python. He was like, oh, sure. That he can like direct me on things that I could learn. So he introduced me to Free Code Camp. So it was from Free Code Camp that I actually learned how to write HTML, CSS, then a little bit of JavaScript. So that's kind of the pathway I used. It was Free Code Camp. So I learned HTML, CSS. I think I left Python on the way. I don't know. I just fell in love with the web, with the front end web generally, JavaScript and HTML, CSS that I just forgot about Python in general. So yeah, that's basically the part I was able to use for myself. Then the rest of it was like attending developer events, etc.
By the way, you mentioned about the Free Code Camp. So you say that it really works, right? It's very helpful for the people. It's a non-profit and you can learn all the steps. What techniques do you use to learn something new effectively, such as new technology, programming languages? What is your strategy?
Yeah, so I'm a visual person. I like to watch videos rather than read books, even though I tend to deceive myself that I like to read books. But most of the time, when I want to learn effectively, I watch videos. So I watch videos for a particular amount of time. Then I give myself let me say homework to implement whatever the person in the tutorial has taught without actually having to watch the tutorial. So that's after I've watched it before. So we implement it without actually having to watch it, then tweak some things a little bit and see whether it works or not. So that's kind of my learning strategy.
Mm-hmm. And do you have any favorite source that you can recommend?
Yeah, like I said, Free Code Camp is basically it for me. Like Free Code Camp, then there are certain front-end masters. Yeah, I'm a front-end developer, so I'm a developer advocate. So front-end masters is kind of, but it's quite expensive. So if you cannot afford front-end masters, you should probably just stick with Free Code Camp because, I mean, they have one of the best content developers and technical educators making their content for them. So it's something I always advise if you're looking for where to start and it's free. That's the best part of Free Code Camp. It's free.
Oh, thank you very much. What obstacles did you face while improving yourself in the tech field? How did you handle them?
Yeah, so the thing about tech is generally is the noise. There's a whole lot of noise in the community. There's a whole lot of things coming up. There's a whole lot of people that you look up to and you feel like low about yourself. Like there's this lack of confidence because other people that actually you think are better than you. So for me personally, it was just the desire to learn new stuff, to learn new things, basically. I always wanted to learn something. So that zeal I had to learn something was basically what was pushing me. There were times where I didn't feel confident about myself. I didn't feel confident about my skills. But when I think about the reason why I'm actually doing this, I mean, I've started from I started not too long ago. It was not, I mean, I think it was the 2016 I started actually writing code. So, I mean, I look at how far I've come in very little time. That alone is enough motivation for me. That's kind of how I handle it. Then I reach out to people to like maybe ask for advice, people that are older than people that are more experienced than me to ask for advice. And note, like, this is just by the way, I did not have any mentor when I was learning. Even up to now, I still do not have mentor. I don't really believe in the concept of mentors, even though people say it's like really, really important. I mean, if you have someone that can just answer your questions and just tell you, okay, this is what you need to do, then you are fine. And 90% of the time, you actually figure things out by yourself. I mean, you already have free code camp that the curriculum is already divided into front end, back end, and various steps that you need to take. So I really do not see why people need to stress themselves about getting mentors, honestly. You just need to figure out stuff by yourself at the end of the day. And at the end of the time, most of the time, we are alone. So yeah, that's just it for me.
Besides software engineering, you're also a developer advocate. And can you mention briefly what is developer advocate and how is the effects of being developer advocate to your career?
Yes, so a developer advocate is basically the voice of a company, right? It's basically for a company. So companies that are business model is business developers, where their main customers are actually developers. These companies tend to get special set of people called developer advocates who can help them get feedback from the community or from the amount of users, from their pool of users, pitch new features and document new features about the company, the company's product to developers, and also time to time go to various tech conferences talking about the company's products and other products. So it's basically a developer advocate is basically the face of the outfacing person for the community. I would not still. Developer advocacy is kind of broken down into different fields. There's developer advocacy itself, there's a technical evangelist, there's a developer evangelist, there's also a developer marketing expert. So developer advocacy is a very, 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 very big field, and we tend to settle for one path. Like for myself, I'm really interested in developer experience. I really want to make sure that developers are always happy using any company's product I'm working for. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm really focused on. Then evangelism. So yeah, that's just how. The effects of the developer advocate in a company. One is to drive adoption of the company's product. So you need to drive adoption of the company's product. That's kind of the major aim. So you have to technically be marketing your company products to developers. Yes. So also increase your company's popularity. So you need to take them from this particular place to this place when it comes to amount of people that know about their product. So that's kind of the major work of the developer advocate and effects of the developer advocate in a community or a company.
So do you think this being a developer advocate did gain you a new perspective on how you're coding, how you're developing?
Yeah. So developer advocacy was not something that I always wanted to do. It was unconscious. I always find myself trying to help developers one way or the other in the community. I mean, it's kind of my way of giving back to the community when I started this whole thing, because the community really helped me when I was like starting. I was trying to find my foot and the rest. So I was always attending developer events. I was trying to help local developer communities to help organize events. So yeah, so that was kind of the way I got into developer advocacy, and I decided to just, okay, since I love doing this and this is something I love doing, then why didn't I just make a switch? So I decided to now make the switch, and it's been great so far. Yeah, I just joined the company like about 2 months ago or a month ago. I can't really get it. Yeah, in July. Yeah, so I've been doing a lot of things, and it's been interesting. And I still get time to write code. Yeah, I mean, you still write code most of the time. Just that you have to be flexible in learning new technologies. So prior to this, I did not have any. To this company I'm working for, I did not have any experience as working in the cloud sector. So, but currently, at least I can say I'm a beginner or a basic beginner. I know a couple of things that would be able to, for me to perfectly, easily translate the knowledge to developers. So yeah, it's really, really interesting.
How did you increase your technical skills? I see that you have the various job experiences as a front-end developer. How did you get your first job?
Yeah, so my first job was when I was in school. I was still in college then when I got my first job. It was kind of, someone just reached out to me that I was kind of posting stuff on I think Facebook. I was using more of Facebook then. I was just posting random things about stuff I learned. And there's this guy. He's a CEO of a startup. Like they handle photography. So they like you're able to book photographers on their platform. So he was like, so do you want to come and work for me? We're a startup and we need a front-end developer. And me, I just wanted to learn. I didn't even care if they were going to pay me any amount or so. I just wanted to learn. But note aside, do not allow anyone, for beginners, don't let anyone exploit you. Just make sure that you collect money for whatever work you do. But so I just wanted to learn basically. So he was like, okay, sure, he's going to give me the opportunity to work on a large scale project, right? Gain real world experience. So I think I stayed there for about 6 months, and when I felt really comfortable with my skills, I was like, it's time for me to transition into somewhere else where I'll be getting value from my skills.
Yeah. So this first job from Nigeria, right? How did you? I see that you also work with the international clients. How did you get your first international client?
Yeah. So it was actually a very, very interesting thing. I just want to say that most of my career, I owe it to social media. The way I marketed myself on social media, that's what I just say I owe my career to. So I just made a tweet that I was looking for a remote job. These are my skills. This amount of skills I can do. I posted a link to my GitHub and my resume. So it was just like a random tweet. And I just reached out to a couple of people that I know had a lot of engagements to help me retweet the tweets. And the funny thing was that the Meteor.js, the official page retweeted my tweet. So I think there was somebody in the community that was looking for a front-end developer, and he reached out to me on email that, okay, we need help with some XYZ, and we're looking for a front-end developer. How much do you charge, and the rest. So that's how I actually got into it, and I signed the contract and we got started.
Have you ever used the UpWork Freelancer platforms to get some freelancer jobs?
Yeah, I would say nah, not really. Most of it is just social media. I just tweet when I'm looking for a job. It's quite difficult to. I don't know. It's just there's a lot of people. The market is actually saturated now. There are a lot of developers growing up. So if you try applying on all these job platforms, you're actually in a battle with about 1,000 more developers, 100,000 more developers. So it's quite difficult for these companies to actually value you for your skills because they are kind of. So most of the time, you don't even get to check your bio. Most of the time, you don't really check your bio. You just check someone else's bio, and they feel comfortable with you. They move with the person. So it's best for you to just like market yourself, put yourself out there, so people can see you and get you to come work for them.
Thank you. What do you want to achieve in your career? What is your career aspirations?
Yes. So really, my career is I'm still figuring out a lot of things in my career, to be honest. But I know I want to do developer advocacy for quite a long time. Yeah, I want to get to that principal developer advocate level where I can kickstart developer relations programs, etc. So that's kind of majorly. But if I would say personally, I just want to be able to help the community go forward. Like I just want to help new people coming into the tech space to find their foot. So that's basically my major goal. Yeah, and again, I think this is just like me being selfish, but I want to make a lot of money from tech. So I mean, so at the end of the day, people feel like it's a bad thing to talk about to get into tech for the money, but then I don't really see if it's a bad thing because I mean you are trying to build skills for yourself that will make you survive in a country or anywhere you are. So yeah, I want to also make a lot of money from tech. So yeah.
What inspires you while working?
Yeah, the ability to solve problems, basically. I mean, I want to just see a problem, and I'm always I'm a very curious person. When I see a problem, I always want to know the end of the problem, basically. And even I think that will help me learning because when I was learning certain things, I always want to know how this thing works under the hood. I know there's a surface part is something all of us can see. It's easy, but I'm always curious to know how these things work from under the hood. So yeah, that's kind of it, the motivation for me. I just want to solve problems, basically.
How do you manage your time effectively while doing a lot of things?
Yeah, so I suck at that, really. I really suck at that. I think most of the time I just have luck. Yeah, I have this big issue of procrastinating stuff until when it's like time to submit or the deadline. It's something I'm trying to fix. I have this Notion. So now I have this Notion board. Notion, you know Notion. Notion is like a note a productivity application where you can take notes, you can make a lot of things. So I think anybody that's watching this video now, if I've not tried out Notion, you should check out Notion. Notion is very fantastic too. So it helps me. I just have a board that I put on my tasks in like a to-do list of things I'm supposed to do today, things I'm not supposed to do, things I'm supposed to do next week, just to have an idea. So taking notes in general has been helping me assign my tasks effectively and take my tasks effectively, because on a normal day, if I was to just handle things myself, I really suck at that. I think I'm a procrastination expert.
And you also write the technical articles. Can you also mention about them, like how it affects your career also to write something? Because it's another thing to know a subject and to write about it. How do you manage it?
Yes, so I would say I learn new things by writing about them. That's just how I learn. Also, one of the major effective way of learning. I just write about them. So when I pick a topic I don't know about and I want to write about it, it will give me more chance to make a research and look for the best and most effective way to translate this particular difficult thing in quotes to other people reading. So most of what I write about is things I just learned over the years and learn almost immediately, and I want people to just know about it. So that's kind of how the whole technical writing thing works for me.
Yeah. So it's a way to teach yourself, like to improve yourself.
Exactly.
What are the pros and cons to be a software engineer in Nigeria? What do you think?
Yeah. So for a pro, I mean, you get the best for the pros. You get a better value for your life. You make more money. Things in Nigeria, it's kind of quite difficult, I would say. But I mean, when you are a software developer, you get to work with international clients and earn money in foreign currency. So your standard of living actually tends to be better. You also have the opportunity to solve certain problems in the country, where you work for government agencies and try to figure out how to digitize a lot of things. And for the cons, to be honest, internet is quite difficult here. The internet in Nigeria is quite bad. It's quite difficult to see a very good internet plan. So that's one of the cons. And so there's this issue of policemen are harassing software developers, assuming that they are fraudsters on the internet. Yeah, that's kind of one of also the cons. Yeah. So when you are like caught with a laptop, a MacBook to be precise, they tend to label you as a internet fraudster. So that's kind of one of the major cons of being a software developer in Nigeria. But aside that, Nigeria is a very, very good country, and we are all trying to make things better for ourselves. So yeah.
What 3 pieces of advice about your career would you give to your younger self?
Okay, sure. First thing is to avoid, just totally block out the entire noise from the community. There's a lot of noise going on. There's a lot of things flying around. Just 1 is to block out the noise. 2, focus on your learning. Also 3, learn how to understand the fundamentals of how things work. The fundamentals of everything will make you comfortable with learning anything in the future. Like for example, if you learn on the fundamentals of JavaScript effectively, there's no JavaScript framework that is going to come out that you cannot use. I quote, you cannot use. So learning the fundamentals is something very, very important. So that's kind of the 3 pieces of advice. 1 is block out the noise from the community. 2, focus on your learning. And 3, learn the fundamentals of whatever you are. Focus on the fundamentals of whatever you are learning. It's really important.
Thank you very much. It was a great answer, Shedrack. And thank you very much for being interviewing with me. Thank you very much for
anytime. Sure, anytime.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks.